Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so today's lab's lab number 7. We're going to learn how to do some surface modeling in Catia. It's actually one of my favorite labs.
Yes.
I love surface modeling. So I'm pretty excited about this. So today we're going to learn how to do surface modeling and link it to skeletons as well as parametrically constrain them. There's a couple of exercises that I'll kind of go through with you guys so that we can get the in-class exercises done. Show you guys a couple of cool techniques, and then you will turn in for the class submissions 3 parametric CAD models. I believe there's going to be 6 total images, and then after that, you guys will have one homework assignment where each team member should use surface elements to create a part. And then you guys will turn in some screenshots of that part with the modeled surfaces. So I'll show you guys how to create the images that are on here. There's a doubly curved surface, which is the one on the left. There's this kind of tube cylinder chimney thing on the right. And then I've got this hood of a car. So I'll show you guys some cool techniques that you guys can use in Catia to kind of build these parts. Show you how to turn them into solid models. So it should be a pretty fun day. And then next lab, we're going to take the things that we're learning and we're actually going to build a surface for your vehicle. And I can show you guys some of the preliminary work that I've done on the past vehicles that I've done. This week, I do apologize. Wednesday, my TA hours kind of fell through, and so I wanted to say I'm sorry. I got stuck at the IAB conference pretty much all day. So next week on Wednesday from 10 to 12, if you're hoping to get a hold of me, I'm actually teaching how to do surface models for vehicles for the NX lab. And so, there's just not enough experience on their end to do that. So I'm going to teach that. So I'm going to move my TA hours to Tuesday from 11 to 1. So hopefully that will work for everybody. I'll still have my hours Wednesday night from 5 to 7. And then Friday from noon to 1. So after that, hopefully there shouldn't be any more conflicts, and I can just kind of stay at Wednesday for you guys. That's time for you. So I apologize for that. But all right, so we'll go ahead and get started. If you guys want to hop into Catia and pull up a part file, I can show you guys how to do some of these models, and I'll give you some time to kind of follow along. Okay, so to start out with, I'm going to do the first model, the doubly curved surface. Surfaces are awesome because sometimes they allow you to create objects that sketching and using 3D modeling techniques just aren't sufficient enough to create. So it gives you a lot more control over what it is that you're creating. To start out with, for this first one, we need to create the edges of this doubly curved surface.
Just in part modeling?
Yeah, just in part, and we'll be in part modeling this whole time.
What curve would you call it?
It's this one right here that's kind of looks like maybe an
ocean,
a Frito-Lay chip. You know, it's got all the curves there on it. I just call it a doubly curved surface because it curves in one, like in the X direction and the Y direction. So you guys can call it the chip surface if you guys want to, or it's kind of like a saddle. Anyway, I'll pull out some of my toolbars here. We're going to go ahead and create some planes, and we'll do some offsets. First plane will offset 100 millimeters. I'm just in millimeters. You guys can use inches. I mean, it's not too much of a big deal. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and create another offset plane, and this time we'll go the other direction. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we've got 2 planes set up like that. Okay. We're going to create a sketch on 4 of those different planes. What I'd like to do is go into a new mode. If you go up to Start and go to Shape, there's a Generative Shape Design. This is the studio I prefer when I do any type of surface modeling, just because there's a lot of tools available in that mode versus just staying in part mode. So I'm going to go into that mode and do all of my shape design there. And you'll notice that all of my tools here have changed. And so these tools are specific to surface modeling. Okay? We can still create sketches normally, so we're going to go ahead and create a sketch on the ZX plane. Okay?
Wait, so when you went into that shape design, it didn't change?
Check out your toolbar. Yeah. So if you look at your toolbars, there's different buttons now. Okay, so I'm going to hop in, do a sketch here on this plane, and I'm going to use splines for this. Bring these down so you can see okay. I'm going to just start at the origin.
Me too.
All right. And we'll end right there where that other plane is by double clicking. I'm going to make that a little bit less steep. Okay, so that last point is right where that plane is. And if you want to double check and make sure, you can click on that. If you hold Control down on your keyboard, you can select the plane, and you can come up here to Constraints Defined in Dialog Box and make sure that those are coincident. So now you guarantee that that endpoint is now on that plane. Okay? So there's our first spline. I'm going to go ahead and hop out of Sketcher. And I'll give you guys a sec to get all caught up here, and then we'll kind of do the next one. Yep, so to grab multiple objects inside of Catia, you press Control on the keyboard, and you can grab multiple objects. Okay? Yeah. So we'll go ahead and do another sketch. I'm going to do a sketch on the YZ plane now. Yeah, you double click to end your spline. Double left click. So we'll go ahead and do another one. So left click, left click, left click, left click, double left click to end it. Grab that endpoint and the plane. Make sure they're coincident. I'll hop out of sketch there. Okay, so we've got two splines. Still need two more.
This is fine.
So we'll do another sketch, and we'll do it on these new planes that we've created. So if you hit the fit button, it'll bring that right up into where you need to be. You can kind of rotate here a little bit and make sure that you're on the right plane, but then you can hit the normal view and it'll pop you back up. So if you do spline again, you don't have to match the other spline. You can do whatever you'd like to do. That looks good. I probably want to move that just a little bit like that. Yeah, that looks good. Go ahead and hop out of sketch.
Did you do the coincidence on that one as well?
I didn't, but I probably should have. I want to show you guys some errors that might pop up. So, and then I'll create my last sketch here on this this plane. We'll start at the origin, kind of move along here, double click, and we'll hop out. Okay. So I've got 4 splines, and I'll give you guys a second here to get all of your splines drawn. And hopefully, if I did this the way I did it before I was getting ready for this class, this should throw an error. I want to show you guys how to fix it. If not, then cool, we just did it right. So.
Do we have to make those points touch on there?
Yeah, so the endpoints of every spline have to touch the same endpoint of another spline. If there's a gap, so like if this ends up here and this one ends down here, it won't create the surface.
Then you'll have to merge the jack.
Is that kind of what you're shooting for right now?
That's what I'm shooting for right now.
Bridges.
So if it worked, then I'll get the surface I wanted. If not, I'll show you guys some techniques to avoid that error. So, okay, so I've got my 4 splines. There is a tool inside of sheet modeling. Let me pull some of my toolbars out here.
It's okay.
There are a lot of tools for shape modeling or sheet modeling. Okay, so the tool I'm looking for right here is called a multi-sections surface.
Yes, the purple ones.
No, it's right here. It's the blue one. If you don't see it, it's probably on. Let me see if I can find the tool. It's probably on either surfaces or sketch. Let's see. Yep, surfaces. So I'll turn that back on. So it's the surfaces toolbar, and it's a multi-sections surface. Okay. So if you click that, it'll bring up a dialog box, and it's going to ask for the 2 sections that you're trying to move the sheet body from. Okay, so the first one will be this one, and then I want it to go down to this one. Okay, so the idea is that I'm creating a surface that goes across this way. Now, when you're doing any type of multi-section, whether it be a surface or a solid in Catia, there is a set of red lines or arrows that show the direction that these tools are going to kind of move along the curve. You need to make sure that the arrows are pointing in the same direction for both of your tools. If they're not, you can double click on the arrow and it will rotate it to a different direction. So the way I have it right now is incorrect. This arrow is pointing to go this way, and this arrow over here is pointing to have the curve go this way. So I want to double click on that and make sure that they're pointing in the same direction. Okay. So once I've got my 2 sections selected, I can come down here to the guide, and if I just click in that box, it now wants to know how it's going to get from point A to point B. And so I can select these other curves as my guides, and this will allow my surface to become a doubly curved surface. Okay, so if I do preview, throws an error. Hooray! This is one of the few errors that you'll get. Basically, anytime it talks about a cusp or a vertex, it'll show you a preview, and it kind of shows you, how it's all twisted and things like that. What happens is sometimes your surface comes too much to a point, and so if that point is too sharp, the computer just can't figure out the geometry. So that one might be one that we want to look at up here. You'll notice that the curve seems to follow everything pretty well until it gets to about this point, and then it just gets really sharp right there. The other reason this might not work is because you might have 2 curves coming to a point, but they're not actually on that same point. And so you'll need to check and make sure that those endpoints match up. Okay? So we're going to kind of go through and debug this and see if we can figure out what the problem is so that we can get rid of this error. Again, the error that popped up, you can read that. It says the extrusion of a vertex of the profile leads to the cup. So anytime it talks about a vertex, generally that indicates that there's too sharp of a point or something's wrong with one of the points. And when it says use a guide with a smaller curve, that means one of my guide curves could probably be modified so that it's not making such a sharp point. So the multi-sections panel is inside of surfaces. So if you go up to start and go to shape, it's underneath generative shape design. When you go in there, it will bring up all of these new tools. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we'll go in here and we'll see if we can fix some of this stuff. I already hit that, so we'll cancel. I'm going to double click on this spline right here. We're going to zoom in here and see if we can make this so it's not so sharp.